Rastafari, Ras John Fari, Johannes again. Um, we're talking here about this very good article about Marcus Garvey from Rastafari TV called Garvey, Freedom Fighter or Stumbling Block. And basically it shows, was Garvey really honest with himself, or was he a paranoid egomaniac having delusions of grandeur and a lot of these things? Um, One of the things that are interesting is he used a lot of the old British, like lords and duchesses and knights and ladies and dukes, and he's supposed to be why not Neguses or Ethiopic royal guard, but he kind of patterned himself to like the Lords of London. You would say there's Garvey there. Now, don't get me wrong. I man have respect for the great Marcus Mosiah Garvey and his perspective of that time to arise the ones in the West to knowing themselves, to knowing Ethiopia, to knowing the truth of, excuse me, brothers and sisters, having a little ganja tea, of who they were. He pointed, he had the dynamics, but he was also wanted to have this cult of personality, you could say, and at times he was very stubborn and hard to do business with and hard to do things. Now, one of the things Garvey did is he stated this. Say that 150,000 delegates would attend this convention. No more than 200 delegates were present as reviewed by careful analysts of the vote day by day as given to the Negro world. His organ, it is not clear the fact and fancy are mixed and twisted in Garvey's mind. He states that his organization had 4,500,000 members and is all over the world. Analysis of his financial report in 1921 reveals that he had not 100,000 dues paying members, and that his paying membership is much smaller than the National Association of Investment of Colored People. So Garvey kind of over-exaggerated and kind of hyped his own, he was, like they say, a president of his own fan club. But he, he had his issues, and I think in Rastafari, we got to really reanalyze a lot of this stuff. I know because Rastafari sprung from the island of Jamaica, the music, Garvey was like seen as a he was the John the Baptist, no doubt about it, but John the Baptist is the least in the kingdom of the Most High. And Garvey here had his doubts, and what is interesting is, of course, we discussed plenty of times about his article on the failure of His Imperial Majesty and how he basically character assassinated Abba Janoi. And here's a summary of Up to the Judgment of Rastafari that Garvey did. We put out some of the most indiscretions and inaccuracies of this speech as Marcus Garvey as follows. Garvey refused to use the name Ethiopia, the land of the sunburnt faces, which means land of black faces, you could say. The name that Haile Selassie restored for the Grecian name Abyssinia, which is like identifying with the Arab European rapists. They used that. See, Garvey used Abyssinia. He did not use Ethiopia, the land of the blacks. Refused to address the emperor as His Imperial Majesty, and called His Imperial Majesty an ex-emperor in 1937, having declared himself the provincial president of Africa, which is total and utter bollocks, because His Majesty was still seen as an emperor and king of his people, of the people, even during the occupation, which wasn't even occupation, but even when the fascists were there, the freedom fighters still saw His Majesty and still kept in touch with them and saw him as the emperor. I don't know where Garvey came up as president. You see, these are the things Garvey did that makes me wonder, what was he thinking? And he called him a coward and wicked man. He called Abba Janoi, Marcus Garvey did, a wicked slave master. And slavery was abolished already in 1931. And Garvey again shows he knew little about what was really going on in the world. He lacked the understanding of prophecy. While Garvey seemed to have been infuriated by the fascist nationalism of this period, he exemplified by Italy under Mussolini and Germany under Hitler, he definitely sought to undermine the emperor completely, even in Ethiopia itself, even in the emperor's bedroom. You and I have been collecting subscriptions of the better part of 20-odd years. What were the real extent of logistical negotiations and arrangements made with African heads of state? And Selassie on numerous occasions had invited Garvey and a lot of the UNIA to come back to Ethiopia. What were the real reasons for Garvey's private meeting with KKK leader Edward Young Clark in 1922? Garvey's business saw much talk thereafter in prime Klan turf areas. Was this a scam? Was there some business? Was there something going on? Garvey also didn't work with a lot of the Maroons. There was a strong. He did not seek the advanced cause of the stronger base, hard-won Maroon sovereignty. Now check these out. Now here, untold truth about Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Was Garvey an agent provocateur? Based on what he said? Possible. He sure had an admiration for the fascists and had a discredit Abba Janoi, Haile Selassie. Did he knowingly or not act as a Jesuit dissembler? If he wasn't subconsciously, well, consciously not, but subconsciously he did have a lot of agent provocateur acts, and he really had nothing, if not at all, about Ethiopia, about the King of Kings. He basically was on the side of the fascists, it seemed like. And he was also buried a Catholic. And then you can get into the whole Roman Vatican thing, which I'll definitely do in future videos. But I will say this at the end. Give us the teachings of His Majesty. We don't want no devil philosophy. May Jah have mercy on the soul of the Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Rastafari. Blessings all.